Welcome everyone. Excited to get started here with all of you. We'll do very quick intros and then dive in. We're gonna go a little quicker with this one. We just finished a previous session, which was like a basics. Let's get started, customize your homepage, how to find your class list, email students, add a Google Meet link to your nav bar. If you weren't here for the first session, no worries, it was recorded. We can share resources to help you with those things. The focus for this session is going to be looking at how to share and organize resources with your students with very much a focus on Google Drive in Brightspace. And then also, what are some options available to you to collect resources and to look at learning and look at feedback cycles with your students in Brightspace. And also a lot of Google Drive and Google integrations there. One thing I'll highlight right off the start for this is that some people see it as like it's Google or Brightspace. That is 100% not the case. It's Brightspace with all of your Google tools, and there's lots of great Google integrations built right for within Brightspace. So I think it really, for me, and again, I don't care which way teachers go personally, it's like, am I going to use Classroom to organize all of my Google resources and things, or am I going to use Brightspace to organize all my Google resources and take care and advantage of the other tools within Brightspace? Very quick introductions. My name is Andrew Bronski. I'm the TELT for the WRDSB, which stands for Technology-Enabled Learning and Teaching Contact. I support teachers and students across K-12 using technology in the classroom with a focus on pedagogy, assessment, and learning. Also very fortunate to have Hebron here. Hebron, do you want to do a quick intro?
Hi, everyone. My name is Hebron. I get to work with Andrew, and I am a consultant with learning services in the elementary side, but I'm also learning and dabbling and doing some work in my portfolio as a mini TELT, I guess. So I'm super excited to be here.
Hebron's a great resource, has been learning so much about Brightspace and been sharing with some really cool resources. And so we'll link those in here for people too. Okay, we're going to dive right in. Now, I'm going to say with this one, I'm going to go relatively quick on this one just based on the time. And because, again, there's so much you can do with Brightspace. My goal with this session for all of you is to make you aware of the things you can do with Brightspace and have a sense like, I don't think you're going to walk away knowing, oh, feel comfortable doing that. I would go slower for some of these processes, but I really just want to create awareness around some of the tools that are available to you for organizing learning materials and sharing them with your students, and also for collecting. Again, like I said earlier, I love Google Classroom and I love the simplicity of Classroom. It's like, again, I could do a 20-minute presentation, show you everything Classroom does. I think that's the pro and con of Classroom, is that there's just so much more you want to do as a teacher, and you find yourself going to all these other websites. Whereas Brightspace, it has a lot of built-in tools. It takes time to learn them and feel comfortable with them. Hopefully, knock on wood, it sounds like the plan this year is that teachers and students are kind of locked in together for the year and have time to grow over time. It's not going to be a whole lot of movement and things moving around this year. So with that being said, let's get started. So here I am on my Brightspace homepage. The kind of two areas we're going to focus on here is content. It's a way to organize your resources. Now, depending on the age of your learner, you're going to want to make things really simple. Right on the homepage via the activity feed, this is a great place to post announcements for the day and share and link resources. So activity feed is going to be a great tool. What I love really quickly about activity feed, when I click on attach here, I have an option to attach link to existing activity. When I click that, it brings up all these tools and resources from Brightspace that I have available that you are not going to learn how to use right off the bat. Don't try and learn 20 different things new, but you can build these over time. And so with this, I can see, okay, if I've got something, I create a checklist I want my students to complete in Brightspace, I'm going to add that checklist here front and center. I've organized some materials for them, maybe by like literacy and mathematics and science and technology. Instead of having my students try to navigate all those folders where it's nice and organized for the day that we're learning, I'm going to bring the resources today front and center for them right on the homepage in the activity feed. And then I want them to go, say, participate in a discussion and share their thinking. And then I want to jump into an assignment and have them share their work. I can bring all those front and center for my students. If I click on content, for example, and then language, this will make sense when we jump in there. I could link this demo assignment, and there it is. It tells the students it's coming from content. It brings my name for it, and it's linked right there for them. So I can put my message for the day and then link resources in. I can also attach directly from my Google Drive here just to share a slide deck or Google Doc or something for my students to access as well. Okay. So that's just how I can organize the things we're going to look at. We're going to go into content here for a sec, but then we're going to jump over also into assessment. Even by clicking this assessment icon on the nav bar, it gives you a sense of the tools that are available to you as a teacher. Quick Eval is a tool just for teachers. And again, students will not see Quick Eval when they're in here. So again, there's that teacher view versus student view. Some things are the same for both roles, but some things are unique to the teacher. Some are unique to the student. Quick Eval is an easy way to see all the things that are coming in for you and what you've given feedback on and assess and which ones you haven't. Assignments is a way to collect work from students. We'll look at this in a moment, but Brightspace has 4 ways in the assignment Dropbox to collect work. The first is by a file, which means students need to submit or attach something to you. That can be directly submitted to you from their Google Drive. The second is just a text box submission, where it's just literally a spot for them to type into, but they can take advantage of that video note tool, or so they can add a little video of themselves or do an audio recording of themselves. No special software permissions. It's built right into Brightspace. And there's also a spot for just observe. So if you're doing like little breakout rooms of the Google Meet and you want to document what you're hearing or seeing from your students, you can create an assignment that's just for things that you're observing for those students. Okay. There's a built-in grades tool. You can customize this to look and feel how you want. So you can have it show and work only in levels, as an example, if that's how you want to assess, or if you want it to be letters and that's what your students see. You control what your students see from it. So you can be hidden from students. It's only your documentation, or you can have it visible to your students too. There's a rubrics tool for attached rubrics, and you can attach rubrics to assignments. You can attach rubrics to portfolio. You can attach rubrics to discussions. There's a built-in quizzes tool. Again, not going to highlight all these, want to make people available what's there to you to build out over time. Again, do not try to tackle all this in the next few days and feel like you're going to have it all figured out for Tuesday. Class progress is a really brilliant tool, and probably one of the places like where Brightspace really shines is on the data and information automatically gives you as a teacher for how your students are doing and progressing through your class. It's kind of a one-stop shop. You can see things like what content pages have my students access and which ones have they not access. It will give you a breakdown of their login history. So again, even for the basic attendance purposes, you can see when was their last login, what days do they log in, what days do they not log in to your class. You can see their assignments breakdown, assessments, a whole bunch of things there. The groups tool, if you're familiar with the Classroom, every time you post something in Classroom, it's default shared with the whole class, and then you can uncheck people or check specific people just to share it to differentiate. Brightspace works a different way, and I personally prefer this way. You create groups right off the bat. So you create the group one time, and then that group's there for you. And then anytime you want to share things with just a group of students, you just click the group, and now it's shared with them. So there's lots of different ways to differentiate. You can create assignments and then share it only with specific groups to collect works in different ways to differentiate for your students. If you have a 3-4 split, for example, you might have something that's shared with your grade 3 group and something that's shared with your grade 4 group. You can do that in content too for the resources you're sharing. You can say, okay, I'm going to have this folder here. Only my grade 3s can see this folder because I shared it with the grade 3 group, or this, and you'll see that throughout. So you take some time to create the groups once, but then you can attach that group to anything, and that will control their access or visibility into it. Okay, and I could go on and on. The checklist tool is actually really brilliant too. You can create a checklist and link to things in your class, and actually have students say, "Yep, this is I've done this, and yes, I've done this, and yes, I've done this." It's a good way to keep them organized in their digital lives. And you also get insights to see how the students acknowledge that, yes, this is where I am, or this is where I've progressed through. One last one, I'm just talking through tools here. Google Assignments, totally up to you. And this is going to be a bit of a, I think if you're using Brightspace, you're going to have a decision to make here. Do you want to use Google Assignments or do you want to use Brightspace Assignments? Some teachers use both. Again, total personal preference in the way you want to go with it. What Google Assignments does, we'll try to look at it here in a sec. It basically looks, feels, and works just like an assignment in Google Classroom, but it's through Brightspace and synced with it. So Google's built it. You sync it with your Brightspace class once. As a teacher, it's going to ask you to link your Google account, and you do that once, and it's linked to your classroom, your Brightspace class. Your students will link their account once just with a button, and then they are linked to that. And then you can post a Google, essentially classroom assignment through Google Assignments, where it's that make a copy for each student, shares it with them, it's organized in your Drive folder. So if you love that experience in Google Classroom where it's like, make a copy of the slide deck or make a copy of this document, share with everybody, organize in the folder, I've got access to it, that Google Assignments tool will do that for you and it work just the same way. Now, when I say you've got a decision to make, the Brightspace Assignments folder, which we'll look at here too in a minute, doesn't have that magic of Google Classroom where it's like, make 25 copies for each student, share it between the two of us. But it does offer a variety of other options that I wish Google Classroom offered, like audio and video built in for feedback or explaining assignments. The mastery view, which we're going to talk about here in a moment, to add curriculum expectations to your class and tag and track by levels. So you're going to want to look at which of the two you'd want to use. You can use both. I would defer to probably saying trying to pick one or the other and just live with the pros and cons of the one you choose. But again, up to you. All right. All that being said, let's jump in and actually look at some of these now. So I'm going to click over here to content and head off to my content area. I've got one folder I've built in here already. This is another area where I think Brightspace shines, is it allows you to organize your resources really well. I don't know if you used Google Classroom last year and you're using a lot in the daily, you probably had so many topics and so many links. This is really long page scroller. I find it's not a great way to organize a lot of resources over the time of a full school year. I know some teachers actually hit a topic count of 100 and you literally go create a second Google Classroom because you can't keep adding topics to your class. Brightspace makes it a lot easier to organize your things. So you can see here I've got new unit. So to create a folder, I'm just going to click new unit. And I'm going to type here and put, say, math on it as an example. I've got a very detailed editor for this. Now, my recommendation, this is one thing I want to highlight. Please, if you're only half listening, listen in right now. Don't put a ton on the unit folder. Don't go deep and have this a whole big long scroll of a whole bunch of information. Use this as a holder to put your resources in. Okay, and I see some teachers that put lots of on this folder and just have it live on the folder. I'll show you why I don't recommend that in a sec. I recommend make this visual, put an image on here, have a little summary of what's within the folder, and go with that. So I can put a title on it. I'm just going to throw some quick text in here. At the bottom, you'll see I just got save, and you see this little button that says hidden. Here's that other thing I was talking with Brightspace. By default, you can see what you create, but you control when you want your students to see it. So if I just click save right now, so there's my new folder, and I'm going to see this little icon with an eye with an line through it, which means it's hidden from students. So that's my cue. My students can't see this folder. Even if I had things in this folder that weren't hidden, if they're in the parent folder that is hidden, students won't have access to them and can't see them. Okay, so I can see that hidden piece. If I click my profile icon in the top right and click view as student, it's going to pop me back to the home page. Now, as a student, generic student, if I click on content, I can't see that math folder I just created. Now, if I click, again, remove this and go back to myself as a teacher and go back to content, there's that folder that's hidden from students. If I want to make it visible, I have a little toggle here just by clicking on it, and now my students can see that resource. So it's a nice way to build things out in advance in your class, have it organized, and release when you want to release it. Okay, so I've got my math folder. Now I want to add resources to this. I've got two buttons to the top. I've got add existing, and create new. Okay, and they should be hopefully somewhat self-explanatory. Create new is starting something from scratch and building it there. Add existing is I'm building out of the resources I already have access to. So I click add existing. You'll see a variety of options here listed for you. First and foremost, and rightfully, is Google Drive. To use this, you do need to do that one-time sync with your Brightspace and Google board account that you can see on the Brightspace homepage, that Google Workspace widget, or on your class homepage. If you scroll down a little bit, link your account once, and then you simply click, and it's going to pull up your Google Drive for you, and you can just grab resources and share and post them right to your class. There's that Jamboard I just created for Steam Hams. It brings out your most recent front and center for you to share. Now, as I'm highlighting this, I actually don't prefer this Google Drive icon. There's another option here that I actually prefer using. I'll explain why, but this works great. You can post it. If I click this one, it's actually going to tell me it's private. Do I want to change it so anyone with the link can view, so my students can access this to remind you of those sharing permissions? I could just click select, and then that's going to be added in here for me and my students with a link right to that for students to go. Now, some will try, you'll see this here, didn't look. Google Slides and Docs are allowed to embed and preview right away within this, and they'll work. Jamboard, Google doesn't let you do that. So I can just click the three dots here. I can always edit a post. And what I'm going to see for this link is that it's trying to embed it on the page. I'm just going to flick to open a new tab. And now for just this Jamboard, you can click open link, and then there we are on that Jamboard. Okay. going back to this folder, now I'm going to click Add Existing again. Now, if it's an existing, if I want to organize an assignment I want my students to do along with a resource I shared, I created an assignment so I can link that assignment right here. So it's front and center for my students to access and see a do, or a link to a discussion, or on and on. I can post a Google Meet right here. I would personally go the navbar route, not creating a new Meet link right here to share with my students. I can drag and drop files. So if I have a PDF that I'm using, if I drag and drop that PDF here, it will live right in Brightspace, it'll upload, and it will be viewable right there in the class for the students to see that PDF or whatever file you want to drag. But where I really want to focus is this More option. I'm going to click More, and then I got all these options here. I can see Google Assignments and Google File Embed. Google File Embed is where I would be sharing resources with my students. So that create, add existing, More, Google File Embed. If I click this one, it's going to ask me, it's going to recognize, hey, you're using your board email address. I'm like, yep, I want to select a file. And then it pulls up my drive. This is like a newer version from Google that was just recently launched. I can see my most recent files, go to my drive folders to find something, and post to my class. So I'm going to scroll down here through something. Here's a slide deck I did for secondary remote on getting started with Brightspace and using the Prism tool. So I'm just going to click this and click Add. And then it tells me attaching this file will change it to anyone with the link can access it. So it's switching over to anyone with the link can view. The reason I like this is just makes it super easy. The file's there, it's shared, they can see it. It's not, you're not getting kids saying, hey, I don't have this share with me, or it's not my file permission, I'm not signed into this properly. It's just there, it's a live link. So I'm gonna click Attach. And then in my class, I'll see this little Google Drive icon because it came right from my drive. My students or myself can click it. And it actually embeds right here in Brightspace for you. So it's organized. You can take this full screen and just focus on that right from here within Brightspace, go through, and it's going to live document. So I can click through and work through that and cover this with my students. You can see it's set to view only up here in the top left, because again, it's a sharing as a resource for that. Or I can just kind of click through here. So right there, Google slide deck, nicely organized my content folder, embedded, and I can add my resources in from my drive. Same thing for a Google Doc, will embed right here, just lives right in here so they can see it. And now you remember if I mentioned, if I click on math here, you're gonna see it just add existing, create new in that folder. I said, don't put too much information in here. If I click on this, you'll see I get another option here for expand, and that's that full screen. So again, you can see your nav bar, have access to it, have your organization to dump between your files. If you want to just focus in on just this one resource, I click those 4 little arrows, expand it out full screen, and there it is, live, good to go. I can just really focus in on that with my students, and then I can click escape and pop back to look at this here, okay? On the organizational piece, I'm gonna click on this main folder. So that was add existing. Again, link to things you've already created, assignments, discussions to send your students or organize it for them. Click more, and then Google File Embed to share learning materials right from your drive that will live right here in your Brightspace folders for you. Next up, you'll also see Google Assignments. Now, this is to create that one-time link to get almost an identical to Google Classroom experience for sharing and collecting learning from your students. If I click on Google Assignments, it's going to pull up my account here again. I'm going to click Continue. Now, I already created this once in my class. So it's going to, the first time you do this, it's going to ask you to link your board Google account to your Brightspace. If you click Allow, then it's up and running, you're good to go. So I've done this once before, so it didn't ask me. Now, this is going to look very similar to Google Classroom too. You can actually see it says Google Assignments. This is designed and built by Google for Brightspace. I can set what the points I want. I can put a due date on this for my students, just like I would in Classroom. Name and put a title on this, add instructions to my students. I can go rubric. Now I can create, again, the Google experience of creating a rubric, which is separate from Brightspace here. And then most importantly, the attach button. So if I click attach, it's going to pull that up. I'm going to choose that slide deck again. So say I have a template of a slide deck I want my students to get their own copy and work on. I'm going to click add. And then you'll see here, each student will get a copy. So what this is going to do, it's going to work and function just like Classroom. I'm going to click create. Let me just go here. Let's go ERLP demo. Some quick here and click create. And what it's going to do, so you do have to be the owner. I'm not the owner of that one because it's being shared with someone else right now. But again, you're the owner of a document. You click create. It's going to be there and living for you. Let me try something else here. what am I the owner of? So here's a slide deck that I'm the owner of. Click create, and now we'll see here is this link to existing, and this is like a little puzzle piece for an external activity. If I click on this as a teacher, it's going to embed that Google assignment right here in content for me. It's going to recognize me as a teacher and show me a teacher view. So as I see 0 submitted, 0 returned, as my students start submitting this work to me, I will see it linked right here and see those submissions coming in. When a student clicks on this, they're going to see their copy your instructions and click on their Google Drive, like Word Docs or Google Docs icon or Google Slides icon to open it and go and work. You'll have an automatic folder created in your Google Drive that says assignments. They'll organize all your assignments and all student work in there for you, just like Classroom. Really important, what you're going to try to do as an educator here is say, what does this look like for my students? You're going to click your profile icon and view as student. It's still going to show you your teacher view just for Google assignments. The reason being is Brightspace view as student is for Brightspace, and this is an external Google tool that's built in. So you're going to be viewing as student, but you're still signed into your board Google account. So you're going to see your view here just for this one thing with Google assignments. It is connected with Brightspace assignments in one way in grades, is that if you create an assignment in here, it adds it into the Brightspace grades tool. You'll see the assignment there. And as you assess a student work, if you're using a points-based system, that will also feed into the Brightspace grades tool for you automatically. If you're not going to use the Brightspace grades tool, you don't need to worry about it, but it's there for you. Okay? All right. That was the Google assignments. Again, like I said, I'm going quick through things here just to show you what's available to you as an educator. And then again, if you have questions, we've got resources to support you through them all. Next one, so I'm on this folder again for math. I'm going to click on create new now. So we were looking at add existing before. If I click on create new, a few options. First, I'm going to see new lesson. Think of new lesson as subfolder, and that's why it's a folder icon. So I'm going to click new lesson, and I might call this addition. Okay. And again, just throw something on here. I'll make it visible to my students and save. Now I've got a subfolder. So I've got math and a subfolder of addition. I can click and drag things and put it into the subfolder. And then, so if I click here, again, you want that organizing of tiers. So I can click into math and then click into addition and then see that subfolder again. So again, if you want to get granular in tiers, you've got lots of resources, you want to keep it a little more cleaner and organized, you can do that. If I click on addition, again, as a subfolder and click on create new, you'll see new folder again. So you can actually have a subfolder. You can go 4 levels deep if you want. I wouldn't go too crazy with that, but if you want that deep of organization for your resources, you can. Okay. Under here in create new then, so you'll see new folder. The one other one I'll highlight is HTML document. Okay, that sounds scary, but it really think of it as like Google Doc, just as a Brightspace page. If I click HTML document, demo, HTML. I get a full text editor here to build a content page right in Brightspace. So I can look through my options here. I've got that insert stuff again, so I could embed a YouTube video right here in a content page for students to view. I could add a video note of me explaining the resources and instructions for that day for my students to work through this. Find a whole bunch of things in. I can embed a Google document right in this content page. So I could have some of my resources, a YouTube video, and then a slide deck embedded right here in this content page with Google File Embed. And the other one I want to highlight is there are templates in here for you to help kind of jazz up your content page if you want. So if you're used to like a Google Doc and just being a long string of text and the odd image, this might be a good resource for you. So if I scroll across here and click the little drop-down arrow, you're going to see these template pages. So here, if I'm going to go with this as a learning activity, what it does is it populates a kind of nice, clean page from here as a template to use as an educator if I want. So within this template, I can change this image for everyone. I might just go here and say, addition 2 plus 2 equals 5. I can put, again, whatever my own text in here. If I want to identify some key learning goals, adding single numbers as an example, and then it's organized and said it's minds on, action, consolidation area, even success criteria. you can change and customize this to be whatever you want. But if you want to have a a bit more of a professional looking page to organize things and have it look clean for your students, there are options there. And again, you can see the different kinds of learning activities. The one I'm looking at, you can see a bunch of different options to kind of go geekier with your content. Not for everybody, but it's there as an option if you want. Actually, if I click save, so now I can look. I could come here and expand this out, and this would be the page my students and I are working through and looking at resources at. And again, you can embed a Google Doc or slide deck in this. You can embed a YouTube video in this and have it all organized here in that page for you. Okay. All right. There's a lot there for content. Again, you can from here create a new assignment, discussion, quiz, link, web link, or again, if you've already created them, click add existing and then link to your assignment, discussion, quiz, checklist, etc. I do want to slide over to the assignment piece. Any questions on content before I get it? And sorry, Kimberly, what was that button? So when you're in your content area, click on, you have to create a folder first, click on create new, and then HTML document. And again, just think of this like Google Doc, but living as a web page within Brightspace. And then the drop down beside it, you'll see the templates there, like learning activity, and then it's just a customizable page for you to make it look the way you want to see how it fits. And yeah, Stephanie, again, like I said, Brightspace, the pros and cons of Classroom versus Brightspace is Classroom super simple in what it does, and you kind of see what you get. Brightspace has a lot of things in it. And again, if you're spending a year in there, there's so much you can kind of build it over time. Again, my advice to all of you, do not try to tackle too much at the start. Start slow. Build out with your students, but you can keep kind of littling and adding on new skills and learning new things as you like. Okay. Again, I have no bias from the other. I love Google Classroom for what it is too. I just think, me personally, for fully online for a year, I think you're going to keep finding tools in Brightspace that are going to help you and your students, where you might be trying to go to all these other websites and get parent permissions for forms to sign things that Brightspace might take care of for you. But again, Google's so integrated, so just sharing your Google Docs, sharing your Google slide decks, and having a Google Meet within Brightspace is a great place to start. Okay. You can just, we could document for everyone. Yeah, for document for everyone, you can just literally click on add existing. Sorry, I'm going to go create new web link. And then just drop that, just put the link to the Google Doc you want everyone working on, and it'll actually embed right here. So I just name this like a drop an editable Google Doc here, and then my same like editing together, for example, and then you can actually embed it right on the page, and then you and your students can be working right there on that editable Google Doc together. So just be the sharing permissions on your doc. Okay, any other quick questions? Just raise a hand and unmute for content and resources. I do want to move over to assessment quickly. Yeah, Jessica.
I was just wondering, I heard there's a blog feature somewhere that kids can keep their own writing. Is that true?
Yeah, different options there, and I would just recommend how you want to look at it. So me, like a blog, what is a blog? It's a place where you're writing something down and sharing your learning look. In my mind, like a blog is like published like openly to the web. So there's a built-in blog tool in Brightspace, and it can be like housed kind of in Brightspace a little bit and an option to publish out. If you want to dive into that one, fire me an email. I think personally, I would just kind of go more the assignments in the portfolio route and have students sharing their learning with you in different ways and attaching links from Google Drive. But there is a built-in blog tool if you want to explore that. Anyone else on the content resources side before we spend the last 10 minutes here on assessment? Okay. So I highlighted right from the start, just like all these tools are available. And just like as I mentioned, so in content, we shared a Google assignment there. If you want to see, that assignment would live in that page in content. If you want to see an organization of all those assignments, you can click on the icon for Google Assignments here, add this to your nav bar, and you'll see your classes listed. So here's all my classes for Google Assignments. And then you can see here's my 3-4C that we just built out. And then I could go into view this course, and I would see there's that demo assignment I just created. I could track student submissions this way too through this view and watch it there. All right, back to the Brightspace assignments piece. The quick and easy one off the start would just be the assignments one. If I click on assignments, click on new folder, and I apologize everyone, I'm gonna go quick here just to highlight what you can do for a few tools in the next 10 minutes. I'm gonna go way too fast for everybody, but I just want you to see it, and then you can access resources that are slower at your own pace if you wanna use any of these tools. All right, so here's a Brightspace assignment folder. I'm just gonna go DRLP demo. So I can leave it just as ungraded. Again, Brightspace has a grades tool, so you can link things to the grades tool. And you can link assignments, discussions, quizzes, all to feed into the grades tool to organize it for you. Or I can just leave this as ungraded. Okay. If I click on graded, I can put a score of and say it's out of. In the grades tool, I can customize it to just show levels for myself and my students, just show letters for myself and my students, whatever you want to be using. And then I could sync it up to where it is in grades, or I can just remove it from grades again. I'm going to pick a due date here. So I'm going to say this is going to be due on Thursday the 9th. You can choose the time to highlight for students. I might say it's going to be end of day. You've got a full detailed text editor here for the instructions. There's that insert stuff option again. So I could record a video note of myself explaining the instructions to the students. Just click record. They could watch that video, insert whatever you like. Got lots of options for attaching down here. So you could upload a file. You could attach a link to existing activities. So you might link the assignment to the content page or the learning of that right here. So students have access to that with the assignment. Link to your drive again. And then these other two options right down here. Even if you want to give an audio recording to your students, you're going to see these throughout Brightspace assignments for both students on their submissions to you and for you as an educator. So you can record audio, just make a quick file that your students could listen to for your instructions. Or again, record video right here to have a video living on this too. Okay, let me get these notifications off again. Availability dates and conditions. You've got three options off to the right here. For my availability dates, I can set a start date and end date. So you've got due date. Due date is the recommended time for when you're asking students to submit that work to you. It will show in the calendar right on the homepage automatically, so the students will see it there with the due date. A start date means they can't see it before, access it before. End date means they can't access that assignment or submit to it after that. It's just there as an option. One thing we're not talking about, but again, something for down the line, if you want to get super geeky with Brightspace, is you can have things called release conditions. If I click on release conditions and create new very quickly, and this lives in content as well. This is like that groups and sharing things. I can say a release condition is kind of like an if this, then that. So you have to do this before you can do this, or I'm going to control something with this. If I click the drop down here, you can see a whole bunch of things, but I might say visited content topics. You can actually do something like you can access this assignment and see this assignment and submit your work until you go to this content page and work through the resources there. That's something you can do here if you want. So you can actually scaffold things. You can do that in content too. So you can't work through this material until you've accessed this material. There as an option, not something I use a ton, but it's something to consider. If I click on submission and completion, categories, you can organize your assignments into categories and create categories here. The submission type, this is an important one for Brightspace assignments. The default when you're creating an assignment is a file submission. That means students cannot submit their work for that assignment without attaching a file to that submission, okay? They can do that. If they do that one-time Google Drive link for the Google Workspace widget, they can submit files right from their drive. If they're submitting something to you from their Google Drive to a Brightspace assignment, important for you to know as an educator and for your students, it's creating a snapshot of their work at that time and submitting it to you as a PDF of their work. So whether it's a Google Doc, it's a slide deck, it makes a snapshot in that moment of time of their work. They can always come and resubmit again too. You can see both the first submission and the second submission, but a little different from Google Classroom, where it's just that one live living document of the Google slide deck. Okay, there's a good reason for it for Brightspace, and then something to pick and choose between Brightspace assignments and Google assignments. They don't need to share it with you because it's creating that snapshot PDF of their work to give to you. And the reason it's doing that is because it allows you to annotate right on top of it. Yeah, and Julie, special access actually would be you can do that from release conditions with the group to assign it just to a group. Special access is actually like, I'm gonna let this assignment end, like this is the due date for it and it's closed off, but I'm gonna give special access to maybe these 3 students to submit past that time. That would be special access. So that was file submission. If I click the drop down though, I can see text submission, which just gives students a text box, which is the Brightspace text box, which again has that audio and video options to submit to. You can do on paper, which again for remote, you're not probably collecting paper from students and doing that one, but it's in there for class. You can also do observed in person. So again, if you're doing small, you can create an assignment of observed in person and have that a space to document that conversation, that observation you're making with your students, and have it set that way. So students don't need to do anything for it. They don't submit their work, but it's a space for you to document the learning you're seeing as you're observing it in person. Okay. And then evaluation and feedback. You can build out Brightspace rubrics or attach rubrics. There's a rubric space to build out the rubrics once, and then you can just attach them to your here and then check off as an assignment, which we'll look at in a sec. And by default, you're going to see annotations tools here checked off. I'm going to really quickly now show you on the other side as a teacher. So I post an assignment. You can jump into a separate class where I've got one running. So go into my assignments area. This is the view once you've got your assignments created. I've only got 2 students in this class, but I would see here's all my assignments. I can organize them by category. It will flag new submissions to me with a link right to those new submissions as they're coming in. I can see how many students have completed that assignment, how many have I evaluated, and how many have I returned that feedback to, along with the due dates I set. If I click into an assignment, so this comparative essay, I've got my 2 students here and I can see their submissions. I can see when they were submitted and when I published my feedback for them. If I click into it, and again, this can be a Google slide deck, a Google Doc, an image from their phone, PDF, Word, doesn't matter what they're using, I will see their student work here. Here's an example of a rubric I've attached off to the side. I can just check through their rubric for them. I can type in my feedback here. I can record audio or video to give feedback to my students with built-in tools right in Brightspace for them, or attach things. But you're going to see this built-in annotations tool. Now, Google Classroom is brilliant in my mind because it has an app. If you have an iPad and the Google Classroom app, you can annotate right on top of the work. But it has to be on a tablet. In Brightspace, you can annotate right on your web browser for student work. And you can also just log in via your web browser, no special app, and use a tablet with a stylus to write right on top of your student work too. It works quite well on an iPad or another tablet with a stylus. So this annotations tool across the top here very quickly, I can see a little pen icon. So I can click the drop down here. I can draw, I can freedom highlight, I can do a text highlighter, I can have the eraser here. So for drawing, I can go in here and just draw right on the student's screen. I can pick my colors. If I want to highlight something for a student, I can highlight here just with this highlighter. With the notes icons, you see a little note icon on the top here. Oh, sorry, I'm zooming out like the text, not the. With the notes, I can choose little different icons like a check mark if I want, or an X, or a little text box. I can just click on the student's screen here, and I can just type in some feedback on this. And what I like about this one is I can click and drag this and move it wherever I want. And so it just sits there. You or the student, you just hover your mouse over it and that text pops up for that comment for where it's placed. There's text boxes, there's lines and shapes. There's lots of things you can do here for annotations and feedback right on top of student work to share that with them. Okay. Another one, and again, it's just so many things to cover here. And Hebron's done some great work in this area and has some great resources and videos about this. Brightspace has all of the Ontario curriculum expectations added in right to Brightspace. You can just search them out and add them to your class very quickly. I recommend just doing the overhauls personally and not trying to assess every specific expectation. You can go in here and add those expectations as you've seen here. Over here, I've been added this one, yep. And then you can actually just level off. And this feeds into what's called Gradebook Mastery View in Brightspace. The expectations are defaulted to level. So if you're a kindergarten teacher, it's not a great option for you because you don't work in level 1, 2, 3, 4. For grades 1 to 8, though, this might be a really good option for educators. You add your expectations in once to your class. And then when you're assessing, you can add expectations to an assignment. You can add it to a discussion forum. You can add them to the quiz tool. You can add them to portfolio documentation if your students are sharing pictures or videos with you. And you say, oh, this is a really good example of this literacy skill here. You would just add that expectation and click off level 1, 2, 3, 4. Once you've done that, I'll jump into this very quickly for everyone. With that, then, if I click on assessment and head over to my grades tool here, and Ron's made these great icons for Master View too. I can see I've set this to level, so that's what I'm looking at. But I'm going to click on Mastery. What this is going to do, it's going to load all my curriculum expectations right from the ministry content for my students across. And then I can see how my class is performing. So it's going to actually average out. It's going to show me how are they doing on this expectation level 1, 2, 3, 4 for the whole class. And then how is each individual student performing? If I want to click on grammar, so I'm here like looking on reflections on identity and strengths. If I click on this level 3 for Bart, it's actually going to show me all the times throughout Brightspace, whether it's portfolio, assignments, discussions. I've only got one here, and I can see what it was, and it was a level 3. I try to find another example here. here is multiple times. So I can see level 3, I can see what the task was that Bart was doing, and level 3 for this expectation, but there's a level 2 here. I can jump into each of those individual pieces. I can give overall feedback to the student on that expectation. And I can manually override it too. I think this is a really cool, powerful tool for triangulation of assessment. So portfolio might be the observations that you're making that the student's sharing with you in the moment of their learning. The discussions tool might be some conversations where you can tag that off and bring it in. And then your assignments would be more your products. And they all filter into this one space. It's not just only your assignments, it's all those things coming together and all the things you've documented by level, and seeing that in one space, I think can be really powerful for a lot of teachers. I also personally really like just looking at it as level 1, 2, 3, 4 and organizing demonstration of learning over time that way. All right, we are right at time. Again, like I said, for Brightspace, there's so much there. It's jam-packed. I hope that this was just a quick intro to some of the tools that are available to you. Again, it should feel overwhelming at the start if this is new. There's a lot there. Start really slow, go basic with it. Don't try to know everything for the first week or the first day, or honestly, even the first month of this school year. I personally think it's going to be a marathon and not a sprint. And if you try to sprint through this year, you're going to be really tired by the end. But again, I think Brightspace hopefully offers you a lot of options to build out over time. And again, the beginning can be, where am I supposed to go? How am I supposed to do this? Reach out to Hebron or I. We're happy to help you through it. But I think within a few weeks' time, you're going to start feeling better and better and actually growing into some really cool tools and doing some really great things with your students in this remote and online space.